How's it going today, guys? So back at it at the little T20 Triumph. Finally get to use my little engine stand I made. I do realize that I probably ought to build something for the back to kind of make it level, but because this is kind of wonky. It's also not super tight. I didn't want to break that tab off since someone took the time to weld it on. So here we are. Time to replace all the bushings and bearings. So I bought new bearings for the crank, which I promptly realized the standard was way too loose. And with that, I just realized the crank, I was playing with the crank. Off topic here, I was playing with the crank. It does not like to free spin. So good thing we're replacing that. I was going to show it to you, but I won't now. So I realized whatever it is, it's 20 over. So I bought a 20 over bearing, which needs to be reamed. Now I was looking at the bearing that's in here, or bushing as you could probably call it. It's a bearing surface bushing. So something that was odd to me about it was that it's ground out in here, because despite, I believe this is the 20 over, despite it being steel like the front, this one has this cut on the back. It's chamfered. That way, the distributor drive won't hit it. With that being said, I realized, well, I didn't realize, it took a little bit of research. This is for I think the 300 to 500, or the 350 to 500 Triumphs. This is what they use, and someone modified it to make it work. Good for them. Hopefully I don't have to, hopefully they didn't overbore that to make it hard to get in. Guess I'll find out here soon. I'm going to be pushing these bushings and bearings out at work as I have access to an oven, and I don't think the women folk would take it too kindly if I did that in the oven here. So that being said, you won't see me push the bushings and bearings in and out. That's kind of crunchy. That's to be expected, though, because the motor has been set open. With that being said, I need some way to ream this bushing when I get to that point. So I did a little research online, asked some people what they do, and found out they just use a big reamer. Now so I went and purchased a big reamer. This is an inch and a 1/16 to an inch and 1/8, which should cover what I need. Now, problem number one, I can get it in here. I believe it is undersized right now. Yep. My next problem is doing it straight, making it aligned. Well, that's where this fella comes in handy. Now, what I did already is I pushed out the bearing that rides in here. So I will bolt this plate up and slip it in. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I need to make an aluminum insert, boop, to fit in there. I haven't quite decided. Well, originally I was going to try to use this side because it's already turned down. I bought this for a whole nother project, and that's the last little bit I have of it, but the OD is a little bit too small, so I'm just going to chuck it up as so. But what I need to do right now, and this is what this episode's going to be about, is making this aluminum piece. So, forewarned, my lathe is super loud as it's gear drive, and it's from the 50s as well as this bike. And she's a little, how can I put this? She's a little bitter about being used out in the cold. It's about 40 degrees out there, Fahrenheit. So, this episode's going to be, as I said, make an adapter so I can use the reamer and align it with this into that. So hopefully this interests you. If not, well, hopefully you can find another video that will. So let's get started here. So we're sorry if the camera's super bouncy. I have it on a on an arm, and it's kind of not very stable, as you can tell. So the first part I'm going to need to figure out is if I actually want to do a drop down here, so that way it sits not only in this seat here, but as well as this seat. So how this fits is this bearing sits on this side and there's a grease seal on the other. I might be able to get away with putting something on the, being as this is the outside, putting something in the smaller diameter so I can use this, and then I'll just have a flat face, because this is going to be, let's see, actually no, I'm going to be wanting to push, I want that to push in while I push this out. Ah, interesting. I'm trying to debate how I want to build this now, because I had an idea, but now that I've got all the parts together, it's coming out to be slightly different than what I planned. Ooh, let's just bang this around and make a bunch of noise. Let's see here. Is there only one dowel pin? Yes, there is. That kind of sits there. That's the other reason I need to raise it up, because it's going to rest like that. Alright, I'll have to build a bracket for that sometime this week. Alright, you guys aren't seeing that, but I'll have to build a bracket so it does sit up, because otherwise I'm sitting on the outer case. So, the reamer, I'll make sure you guys can see. Shake the camera a bunch. There we go. The reamer is going to sit like so in there. I'm going to design this so that way it sits in like this. And I'm debating if I want to put this on the inside or the outside. I could go with my original idea of just... Either way, I'm going to have to make this like this, as it's the grease seal on the outside. Let me think about this for a second. So now I'm at the point where I need to figure out what the taper is on this. And it's been a while since I've done that, so I'm going to have to defer to my book and try to figure out where I'm at. So I figured out the measurements, and now we just have to hop on the lathe and try to make something. It's only a 3.2 degree taper. Couldn't find my book, but luckily the internet has a plethora of websites to help you figure this out. So I think I'll just do like a 3 degree taper. My lathe's kind of old, so hopefully we'll get pretty close. Probably ought to get my... Probably ought to get that, and we'll be able to, our little protractor, and figure out what angle we're at when we set the tool post to the lathe. So let's get started on that. So we're out at the lathe. I've already faced off the stock and I marked out how far in. I kind of revised my plans. I want a 1/2 inch hanging out as opposed to just the 1/4 inch. So I'll adapt for that. It's pretty cold out here. I've let the lathe run for a little bit and to get it warmed up because I can still see my breath. So, forewarning, from here on out, it's going to be very loud. The lathe's loud. And there may be some jostling around of the camera because of the positioning of me and the camera to run my lathe. So, without ado, we shall start. I need to take off. It's like 2.5 inches right now, and I need to go down to 2.045. So I got a little under 1/2 inch take off. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and put it into drive here. I think that's my gear drive. Start up at the top. Yep, there we go. Wrong way. Because I'm not old enough to own one. I've been around back then. Alright, 2380. We'll give it a couple goes here, and we'll check again. Alright, here we go. Probably gonna take a big cut again. So about 110 thou to go. Let's see how this turns out here. It's gonna be tricky with the lathe because I can't really see where it's at. 110. Okay. It's going to be a big cut. Should be about 50 thou out. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Looking at 212, I think it was. 211. So I'm about 5 thou out. I'll give it a go here, and I'll probably make it a couple thou undersize just so it slips in. So let's give it a go. Okay, that should put us right about, yep, 2, 4, 3. Let's see if it fits. That's the next question. Let's bump the camera and slide everything out of the way here. Grab it. And there's a snug fit. I think it'll go in. Ooh. Yep, look at that. Little loose, but we can take care of some of that on the other side. We'll hold the other side a little tighter tolerance. I just wanted this to be able to fit in there and release. That's not to say this bore isn't messed up either. I hope not, but you never know. All right. What's the next project here? 1.754. Okay, and I want that. I'm gonna bump the camera. Get my die come out. I should have made sure that was 3/4 of an inch. Oops. Oh well. This is not too big of a deal. I can fix it later. Okay. Perfect. All right. Now I'm gonna let this all dry, and I'll come back and mark it. So let me readjust the view here for you guys. Got everything marked out, and the camera is still right in the way. The best field of views from my point of eyes, or my view. All right, so we're at, I remember where we were, 43, and I need to go down to 1.754, so I got about 300 thou to go. So let's kick it off and see what happens. Had to stop it real quick, realized my indicator down here was loose, so I had to tighten it up so I can actually get a somewhat accurate measurement. Then I also scored up the face because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. So, shall we begin? Round 2. should be about 10 thou out. Yes, I am right at that point. 64. So we'll go 10 thou cut, and we'll see where we end up. Let us see where we're at. Looks about right. Let me slide this over and we will see if it fits. So here we are, the moment of the truth. Will it fit? And I guess I could try this side first. Probably ought to taper that edge, the file, but it looks just a hair too big. So we'll take thou off, and well, because my lathe reads double, I'll actually take 2 thou off, and we'll see how that turns out. That should be a slip fit, should be. And then I will chamfer the edge here. So let me fire this up. Okay, should be a little bit better. Looks like it's a little bit of a tight fit still, which is good. But I also need this to sit in here. Let's take another thou off. Let me look at. So it fits in one way really nicely, but the other side it doesn't fit. I don't know if there's a burr. So I went ahead and I just chamfered this edge down because maybe that's what was holding me up. I doubt it, but it could be. So I rounded these edges. Now I'm going to part it off, and I don't know if I actually have a good parting blade. Oh, that's going to be the fun part. I don't think I do. Don't think I do. I don't have this one. Oh, here it is. I don't think it worked very good last time. So I got it parted off, got it cleaned up, and now we're gonna center drill it real quick. So unfortunately I wasn't paying attention to the camera, and I was only paying attention to what I was doing here, and the camera died on me. But as you can tell from my pile of swarf here, I just got done drilling it out to 1 inch. With that being said, I need to go a couple thou more, I believe. Well, a little bit more than that. 112. So gonna have to get the boring bar out for that. I think what I'm gonna do though is I'm just gonna bore it to somewhere maybe like 130. That way it just slides in. If I need to, I don't know, bore it, taper it out, then I can do that later. Maybe I'll go like 120. That way it slides in, and we'll see how it fits. So let's get started on that. All right, here we are. We got everything set up. So gotta take about 100 thou out, and let's see how it goes here. Let me fire this bad boy up and see how it goes. Boom. Well, I have definitely overshot what I was planning to do, but that ought to give us a good sizable, and that's pretty good. Lay it in there. If I have to later and taper this out, I still have all this room to go. So I think this will work. Let me do a couple finishing passes because that thing looks really rough in there. And then we should be able to call it done and use it to ream out the bushing. Sorry, I'm cleaning my jacket off. I got sprayed with aluminum chips. That's like machining. Alright, so I'll give it a couple passes and take it inside. Whoa, so here comes the moment of truth. Will it fit? It kind of fits. Oddly enough, I'm not sure why it fit in this side super well. If I got to take it down a thou, I can do that with some emery cloth. What fits really good there, just can't. I may end up just using this one side since it's a good, nice snug fit. I'm wondering if there's a burr on the inside of that lip. I don't want to get into the position where I can't get that back out. I'll definitely say it's in there pretty good. I'll have to tap that one out. A little crooked, I think, too. That fits in there pretty good. Nice snug fit. It's not tapered, but I think it'll work for what we need to do. And let me get a hammer handle here. This will work pretty Yep, I think this will actually work. You can see it's a little scored, but it's not bad. There's a little nick on this side. Probably. May take a little fiddling with. Throw in the lathe and kind of clean it up a hair with some emery cloth. But other than that, I think it's pretty good to go. Stick it in and we'll ream this out and see what happens. Like I said before, all I really need is this side. See how that goes. Everything's super cold right now. It's like 30. It was 33 or 34 when I went outside earlier, Fahrenheit. So everything's been sitting outside for more than an hour or two. So it's all kind of cold. So anyways, there's the video. Next video should be reaming this out. So, or the crankshaft. I haven't decided which I want to do first. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.